Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elise Bennon. I am the founder of marketing-mentor.com. I am the program partner for this Creative Entrepreneur program, which you're in right now. And I'm also the host of the How Design Live podcast. And through the conversations that I've been having recently with the speakers, past and future and present, of How Design Live, one question that keeps coming up, and I'm just threading it through all of these conversations and presentations, is what is the future of design? And people have been answering that question, beginning to propose answers to that question. And it seems to me that part of the future of design is that more and more companies are becoming more and more design-driven, integrating design into all aspects of their businesses. And also, designers are taking more initiative, becoming more entrepreneurial, using what I do think is an inherently entrepreneurial spirit, bringing that process to everything that they do, whether it's working in-house, or forming your own company, or building your own product. So the Creative Entrepreneur Program is designed to help address all the different issues you might need and the different skills you might need through that process. And one of them is social media. And I think there are ways to do social media that are entrepreneurial and other ways that are not so entrepreneurial. And I invited Roberto Blake here to be part of this program because he does it in an incredibly entrepreneurial way. And he's going to share that with you. So let me tell you a little bit about Roberto. He is a graphic designer and a marketer. And many creatives do struggle with social media but it can be a very powerful tool if you know how to use it. And Roberto knows how to use it. I thought I was a content machine. This guy is a content machine. He has leveraged social media and content development to grow his freelance business and his creative consultancy and to generate passive income through lots of different ways, but also affiliate marketing. He has a YouTube channel with over 100,000 subscribers. That's impressive to me. And he posts new content 7 days a week, wearing a different colored t-shirt for each day. He's also the host of a podcast called Create Something Awesome Today. Please welcome Roberto Blake.
How are you guys doing today? Great. That's not the answer I was looking for. I want to know that you guys were doing awesome. But I wanted to know that because I've gotten to meet so many of you, and all of you guys have been tremendous. You guys are awesome cribs in your own right, and how design brings us together. So first of all, clap it up for yourselves for being awesome and being here today. When I look out at the crowd right now, I see a lot of things. I see designers, I see creatives, I see many of you are entrepreneurs. But more than anything, I see a community. I see that you guys have been having tremendous conversations, even while Elise was trying to introduce me. And you know what? That is what social media is about at the end of the day. It's not about reaching 100,000, a million, or 10,000 people. It's about reaching the people that you want to build a relationship with, that you want to create value for, that you have context with and commonality with, where you guys can have win-win relationships together. And by the way, it has never been a better time to be a creative. I know that some of you have skepticism and cynicism around the future of creativity, but future of creativity is all of you. The future of creativity is what you're doing right here, right now at HAP, in collaborating with each other, in learning from the speakers, in reverse engineering all the content and all the information that people like me put out there, so that you can forge ahead with your own path. And there's nothing more entrepreneurial than that. There's nothing more creative than taking what's already gone forward, mapping it to your own DNA, what's beating in your own chest, and creating something new, bringing something value, going that 10, 20, 30, 50% greater than what's already been there. And so today, I'm going to get very tactical with you. There's not going to be fluff. I'm going to get right to it, and we're going to talk about how you use the existing tools, social media platforms to scale and grow your creative businesses, whatever you're trying to do. But you know what, first of all, I want to, who in here is a creative entrepreneur, specifically? Awesome. Any freelancers that may not be considering themselves entrepreneurs just yet, that are getting there? Do we have anyone who's an in-house creative? Tons of you guys. Guess what? Even if you're an in-house creative, social media is still for you. And you may not realize it, but at the end of the day, like I said, social media is just about conversations. It's about the context of those one-to-one relationships that you're zeroing in at out of the larger big picture here. It gets very micro. Many of you, the job and the career that you have right now is completely predicated on the relationships that you built. There was somebody who went to bat for you. There's somebody who introduced you. There's somebody who taught you and mentored and groomed you. So social media is just an amplifier for those conversations and for building relationships. And you can use those tools very effectively. Look, when I was growing up, I was blessed to be born into a family of creative people, but it was soul crushing to me to watch them live for their weekend because it just wasn't practical for them to make a living at their creativity. And that's something all of you are doing and benefiting from today in a way that for many of you would not have been possible 10 or 20 years ago in the way that it is today. There's so much more opportunity. And social media is another way for you to take advantage of that and to augment it and to grow it by getting to those people and cutting through the noise. And you want to know how you cut through the noise? It comes down to what I used to call the 3 C's, but it's 4 C's now. Creativity, consistency, context, and conversations. I want you to think about that. Creativity. What is the unique value that you have and that you can deliver on? Yep. Is there anyone here who's married or in a relationship right now? That's the reason I asked that. Anybody that's not, that at least has a best friend or a friend? Like, okay. But guess what? You guys, a lot of you talk to me about market saturation and about your voice being drowned out. 7 billion human beings on the planet, and somebody picked you. So congratulations on that. And feel free, if you want, to clap it up for yourself for a quick second for that. Cool. So somebody picked you. Somebody picked you without you necessarily having to be the most devastatingly handsome and charming person, or the most beautiful person, or the smartest person in the room. Somebody picked you because you were interesting to them. You had value for them specifically, and you showed up. And you showed up. I want you to think about that. So consistency. Consistency is about showing up. We love things that are familiar. Try to get somebody to leave an Apple device. I dare you. Okay? Why? Consistency, familiarity, that repetition. So when you show up, when you do videos 7 days a week, or when you do a podcast 7 days a week, or when you're in social media and you're having conversations, when you're following somebody, when you tweet back at them, when you reply to their Snapchat story, when you comment on their post in LinkedIn, when you like their Facebook status, you're building rapport. Okay, you're building rapport. These are the same things in real life that we've always done. They're handshakes, they're hugs, they're nods, they're eye contact, they're acknowledgement, and it's just all those things at scale. It's also the ability to listen at scale, and I'll get to that in a minute. So context. Who are you trying to reach? You don't need to reach all 7 billion people on the planet. Lord knows you don't want to work with all 7 billion people on the planet, because some of them are jerks, right? You want to work with and have relationships with the people that share your values, will value you appropriately, and more importantly, pay you the right amount of money. So that matters. Reaching them is a matter of getting the funnel narrow. Sometimes that means niching down. Sometimes that means getting very clever and inventive. And more than anything, it usually means listening. How many people can you listen to at once? How many people can listen to you? And how many people want to listen to you? So instead of worrying about getting the largest numbers in the vanity of social media, I want you to instead think about the relationships you want, the community you want to build, and the communities that you want to be a part of. You made a choice to be at How today. Not just because of the speakers here, but because of each other, because of the community, because of the shared values that all of you have, and because you really believe in the future of creativity and you believe in what How represents. But How had to show up, How had to be creative in the way that they approached you, had to be consistent, and they created the right context for you to understand that this is for you. You guys showed up to this talk because of the context, more than anything. A lot of you may not even have known who I was, but the context was there for you that you want to be successful at social media because it's going to help you grow your creative business or grow your creative career. And it starts with having the right conversation. People are in social media often for the sake of being in social media, instead of using it to start a conversation. People post content for the sake of posting content. It's about triggering the conversation that you want to have. Maybe that leads to a buying relationship. Maybe it leads to a collaboration. Maybe it leads to you getting hired. But the conversation has to start somewhere, and are you putting out, using your creative skills, using the tools available to you, are you putting out things that are going to start that conversation? We start a conversation in the t-shirts that we wear, in the events that we attend. We're putting ourselves in a position to win. So showing up in social media and having the right conversation with the right people that takes us where we want to go, that's important, and it's important to understand that. So what I want to get into right now is the tactics. The thing that you guys are really excited about, I'm sure, is the tactics. That's great, Roberto. So how do I win in social media? How do I use my creativity? How do I show up consistently? How do I create context for people? And how do I have the right conversation? Well, I've got good news for you. You guys are in a position to win because unlike 90% of the people participating in social media, you guys actually know how to make stuff that doesn't suck. No, real talk. There are people here who are photographers, there are people here who are designers, there are people here who are illustrators, there are people here who have fantastic talents that the overwhelming 90% of people don't have. It's why somebody's writing you a check right now. Okay? With that in mind, what can you do creatively and how do you use your skills in the social media platforms to get where you want to go? It's about your intentions. Who here wants to use social media to get more clients? Awesome. Is there anybody here that is a job seeker that wants to use social media to build a relationship with the right employer? All right, there's some of you here. Is there anybody who wants to use social media to grow their authority so that they have leverage at their in-house position and maybe they can get, you know, that salary bump or jump ship to another company? Anybody like that? Oh wow, okay. This will work, this is great. So that means, based on your intentions, you have to focus on the right platforms because there's a lot of shiny objects out there, right? Snapchat, Instagram, Pinterest, these are the visual platforms that designers and creatives we love, but do they get us where we want to go? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Is the person who is the decision maker making, spending more of their time in Snapchat and Instagram? Maybe, maybe not, but when they're there, what are their intentions? Probably more to be inspired or entertained or to use it as escapism. Probably not to make a buying decision and a six-figure investment in their next hire. The platforms where if that's your goal and your intention, that I would encourage you to pursue a little bit more. Not saying don't play in those platforms for other reasons, but where you maybe focus your attention mapped to your intent and the intent of the person you're trying to reach. Oh wait, alignment? Wait, we need to be synced up. Oh, perish the thought, right? So maybe that's Facebook, where the majority of people over the age of 18 spend their time on the internet. In the best way possible, it's probably the new AOL for those of you who might be a little older and remember what that was, the gateway to internet superhighway that we all wanted to drive down, right? You know, Viva 1996, right? Okay, so we've got Facebook, we've got LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and live streaming platforms like Facebook Live and Periscope. I'm going to give you tactics for all of these to map to your goals. Facebook groups are something I think a lot of you are grossly underestimating. If right now you're trying to get new clients, and I'll give you a real world example. Let's say that you were a wedding photographer, for example, and you want to get more wedding clients, you want to book more weddings. I would encourage you to build a Facebook group and community and invite all of the local wedding businesses, the florists, the event planners, whatever, to this Facebook group in your community. You cultivate, you share ideas, maybe you meet offline once a month and do lunch. The idea here is you want to build a rapport with all these people because they share your consumer base and your client base, and they may not be your competition. You can now collaborate. You guys can all find ways to get more business together, raise your rates, maybe save money, and then these people all can use your services, but they can also refer clients and business to you. Social media, by the way, huge opportunity for referral business because, wait, you're there, I know what value you create, I've seen your work, and I have awareness of you and you're constantly in my ecosystem. When you're top of mind, the referral comes, and then it's easier to close because someone went to bat for you, someone vouched for you. Just like that first person who made an introduction for you to get your job or to do this thing that you wanted. So it's a real opportunity. So you can use Facebook groups. You have a Facebook page. Almost everybody who here right now has a Facebook profile. Oh, well, look at that. Look around, everybody. Like, the majority of us, big surprise, right? I would encourage you that if you're a professional, to have a professional Facebook profile, and then the one that you lock down that's friends and family, you know, the one where you share pictures of the kids, and then you have your public persona that represents you as a professional for anyone who wants to have a relationship with you and follow you. And on that one, I would say that you post the things that are going to matter to the people who are want to get into a buying relationship with you, the people who are going to buy your products and services, the people who are going to hire you for work. You post things that would matter to them and start the conversation that you want. And you do it in the most interesting and clever way possible. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can do it with still images, you can do it with photos. And now, something you may or may not have been hearing in these conversations and talks, we have Adobe Spark now. You want to do video content, but you're not comfortable in front of the camera yet? You have the unique opportunity to use your design skills, put together something quick, animated, and you can put a voice over there, and it can be clever, it can be short, it can be 1 minute, it can be 30 seconds. All of a sudden, you've got a piece of content you can distribute in Facebook video, huge growth hack there. You've got something you can upload to YouTube. If it's a minute, you can upload to Instagram as well. If it's 30 seconds, you can actually use it as a Twitter video. So all of a sudden, you've got this one piece of content that you can use, and you can post it in 5 different platforms, but then use the context of that platform. Put new text around it, put the appropriate hashtags, put a different spin on it, and then all of a sudden, you're a content machine, as Elise coined the phrase, you know. And this is like one of those secrets that I do that's not a secret, is that I take this content, and by the way, that interesting video, the best nuggets of that, pull a quote out of that, snap an image, and all of a sudden you've got a great Instagram post that for someone paying attention there, maybe now thinks about that, links back to your website, sees your portfolio and your body of work. Oh wait, I got attention, I siphoned that attention, got it to the place that matters where I can close, in the right context. So I think you're kind of understanding a pattern and a thread here. The social media platforms are just a tool. They're an amplifier. They put you in the room virtually with people you don't have access to. With people you don't have access to. One of the great things about Twitter, the platform that all of my contemporaries in the social media world are saying is dead, rest in peace Twitter. Look, Twitter, prior to Snapchat, is one of the best ways, and I still think it's one of the best ways to access almost anybody in the world. Almost anybody in the world. There are chief marketing officers, there are chief executive officers, there are decision makers, there are marketing directors, there are people that are going to hire you. There are many of your bosses and supervisors that are in Twitter right now. Interacting and engaging with people in Twitter is a fast way to build rapport. We pay attention to the people who retweet our post. We pay attention to the people who like and favorite our thing. And if you take 10 seconds out of your day to go ahead and pull out your smartphone and you say, hey, you know what, Chase Jarvis, I love the interview that you did recently. It was really tremendous. I got this value. Thank you for everything you do, blah, blah, blah. Don't be surprised if they pay attention to that, because Twitter video is something the far majority of users on Twitter still are not taking advantage of. You guys have a unique opportunity as creatives to just do something as simple to build a relationship as saying, I'm really interested in that thing you were talking about, would love to network sometime, would love to collaborate, or hey, you know what, I love what you and company X are doing, and I think it's amazing, big fan of your work. It builds rapport. There's no easier point of entry to a relationship than thank you and you're awesome. There just isn't. Who doesn't want a compliment? You know? Really? So, being able to do that and do it with sincerity matters. Now granted, you can use Twitter as a push platform. You can use it to put your content out there, you can use it to put your images, your graphics, your photography out there. But I would recommend that if you're going to do it, that you do it in a smart way that generates a conversation. More than generates a click, which does matter. You want the conversation because you want the right person to click. There are plenty of you. In fact, raise your hand if you've ever had a nightmare client. Elise has done a whole thing on the various types of nightmare clients. It's actually a really great presentation. Okay, you know how you can avoid some nightmare clients? By creating context. Context lets you do that sometimes. You know, authenticity is a great funnel for the relationships you want and a great filter for the relationships you don't. Okay, so when you're being your real authentic self in social media, when you're not faking the funk, when you're putting yourself out there and you're being real and authentic, you're telling people what type of client you want. Almost everyone here is taking a portfolio class where they tell you, put the working portfolio that you want to get, right? Okay, it's the same thing with social media. Go ahead and create the content that leads to the conversations you want to have. You want people to hire you? Put the value out there that says that you are a worthwhile hire. Show that work. Begin that conversation. Build your authority. Show how intelligent you are about the industry. Talk about the thing that you're so passionate about and that what you love and why it makes a real difference and why design should be valued. Why your work is worth what you're saying it is. Put that out into the world so that people understand it, so that a conversation can happen, so that someone's looking for that value. Somebody's looking for exactly what you have. You need to make it accessible to them, so you need to go to where they are. You need to put yourself in the room with the people you want to hire you. Like, novel idea, right? Novel idea. Be in the room with the person I want to hire. You know, you can't complain if you're like, you know, if you're single, like me, and you decide that you're going to sit at home in front of a computer all day, like me, you shouldn't whine about it because you're not putting yourself in a position to win. You're not putting yourself in a position to go on dates and to meet those new people that you're going to build those relationships with. So getting out into the world, or in this case, the digital world, really matters because you will not always have the opportunity to hop on a plane and come out to a conference like this. But you can still network, and you can still get access to the people you want using these platforms. Twitter is great for that. Snapchat is actually really good for that now because you can actually see if someone read your video message. A lot of people want to post Snapchat stories. That's cool and that's interesting. By the way, designers, a ton of money in making Snapchat filters right now. So you want to monetize, like that's a really good way to do it right now while it has the attention and why people care about it and why a lot of people are not offering it. So hint, hint. But for a networking opportunity, you want a networking growth hack? You can direct message people in Snapchat. In fact, that was the original purpose of the platform. So now, if you can find out using LinkedIn who somebody is that's a decision maker in the industry you want to work in or the company that you want to work at, and they are on Snapchat and if they're doing something interesting, you can start a conversation, you can reply to their snaps, you can be sincere, and now they have awareness of who you are. Don't think for 1 minute in a world of Google that they're not going to look you up. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's a real thing. That's another reason that social media and what you do and how you behave there is important. It's because we live in a world with so much transparency. You have the ability to dictate the narrative, dictate your story. Designers are storytellers, you're communicators. You can be using your unique skills right now to be winning by showing up and being different and being unique, and more importantly, mapping all of that in the context of what that person needs from you more than anything. I'm here because of the context that I can give you guys the social media tips and advice because it's what I use to augment my career, to get new business, to get clients every day, both with active and passive income. You know, Elise brought it up. Does content work for generating income? Yes, because the beauty of something like YouTube is it's a platform where I can market my business and my services, get the attention of the people that matter, build the community that I want while providing service, using the career-long, exploits that I've done and that credibility to one, create value, help people like you, get the attention of people I want to work with, and at the same time, YouTube's handing me ad money to do this. Wow, I'm getting paid to market my business. I'm getting paid to create value and give away my best advice for free, subsidized by ads. So if you don't think that social media is practical for you, here's a trick. You make it practical. It's really simple. If you want to pay for an email list, and we all know the value of that, then monetize it, make it practical. If you're going to work for somebody and you're going to give them all this value, make it practical. Ask for the most money that you can as long as you're going to deliver on the promise. So it's really simple. It's a matter of practicality. It's a matter of alignment. It's a matter of what do I give people that starts the conversation? What do I give them that they want and what they need from me? Mapped to what I might be looking for or what starts a conversation that gives me the permission to ask for what I want and what I need. So that's what it's really about. And so if you want to use a platform like YouTube, yes, you can promote yourself. Yes, you can show your portfolio of work. Yes, you can show your personality, which does matter because, like I said, 7 billion people on the planet, there are people who picked you. And your personality had probably almost everything to do with it. Because we only work and like to work with people that we trust, that we feel comfortable with, that make us feel safe, that make us feel valued, that make us feel loved. That matters. And so are you creating that opportunity? Are you showing that you are not only a good executioner and practitioner, but are you a good human being? Are you someone that I'm going to trust the future of my business with? Are you somebody that I'm going to trust with my information, my ideas, to represent me? Are you someone that I trust to be part of the ecosystem that I built with my employees? I mean, that is something that matters. In the hiring relationship with vendors right now, for things that I do, as much as I look at people's portfolio, as much as I look at their body of work, I emotionally want to feel like these are people that I want to spend my time with. Because I'll never get that time back, and if I invest in a bad relationship, that is probably more devastating to me than if I got a bad deliverable. I can always recover from that and deal with a bad deliverable. There's no telling what the impact of a bad relationship is. So showing yourself to be a good relationship, to be a good partner, to be a good employee, to be a good vendor, to be a good service provider, that really matters. That really matters. Has anyone here ever worked with someone that was a nightmare, whether they were a client, whether they were a coworker, whether they were a boss? Right on. Look at that, everybody, right? So clearly, relationships and personality matter. They clearly matter. And using content, using video, showing your thoughts, using YouTube, using Periscope, using Facebook Live, Facebook Video. These things let people see who you really are, and you really can't fake the funk, not consistently. So it matters. You have to show up. Now, here's something I'll tell you about how to cut through the noise there that most people don't realize. Personality matters, your body work and portfolio matters. The process is what's infinitely valuable to somebody writing a check. The process is what's infinitely valuable to someone writing a check. The how of how you got there, the how. The why matters, the what matters, the how, big difference. That's context. Can I trust that the work in your portfolio is yours versus that you stole it off the internet? The process will reveal that. Seeing how you go from a zero canvas, a blank canvas in Photoshop to an end result, and seeing that in a time-lapse video that's 2 or 3 minutes long with some really sweet dubstep behind it. You know what? That gets me excited. That's interesting for me. That creates context. That shows me that you actually can deliver on that, shows me your chops. So that's important. Seeing you talk passionately about what you love as a designer, as a photographer, as a writer, that actually matters. Seeing that says, I can make an informed decision because I know that this person isn't just a good executioner. I can see their thoughts, I can see their creativity, and I can see that they actually care. Seeing that you care about your work, seeing that you care about the quality of your work, and then you're going to deliver on that, that's how you cut through the noise. Because you know what? When people care, it makes a difference, and we can see through it. We can see people who phoned it in. We can see people who don't give a crap. We can see that a mile away most of the time. And when you're going to make an investment in someone as an employee, when you're going to make an investment in somebody as a consumer, that matters. It matters a lot. So I would encourage you to pursue using video. And like I said, you can make this really practical. If you're not comfortable on camera yet, cool. Use your design skills, use your visual presentation skills, and use tools that let you do that. Use ScreenFlow to record your process of your work and show your process. Use things like Adobe Spark to get a narrative out there and to tell a story. Use the tools that you have. You know what? This is not the enemy. This is not the enemy. This is actually very practical and very advantageous. This is live broadcasting, something that was only available to the 0.0% of people only 3 decades ago, only 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Broadcast capability was only affordable and available to 0.01% of people. We now have the ability to broadcast ourselves live and stream something like this if we want to, in Periscope, in Facebook Live. There's so many opportunities there. And you can't fake anything live, not really, not unless you're a gifted actor, and all of my friends will tell you how much I suck at that. That's why I never use scripts on YouTube. It's just all cold. That's why I don't have slides right now. It's just all cold. You can't fake something like that. You just can't. And so you don't want to. Authenticity has always mattered. Credibility has always mattered. And so I encourage you guys to use the tools available to you to get your maximum value, create the conversations, create the contests, create awesome things, and share them with the world, and show everybody who you really are and why you're worth it. And I think that's the future of design, and I think that that's why social media matters. I think that that's how you cut through the noise. You focus on creativity, what's unique about you, what are you passionate about, what are you able to deliver on. You show up consistently. You find a way to make that work for you. You find a way to show up in the places that matter, that gets you the relationship you want, that gets you the thing that you want, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new business client, whether it's a collaboration. You do that. You create context. You show people why this matters to them specifically. And you have the conversations with the people that you're meant to have. Creativity, consistency, context, conversations. And now we're going to extend our conversation. We're going to do Q&A. Elise, how much time do we have for Q&A? We've got about 15 minutes for Q&A. So I'm going to answer your direct questions. You can ask me whatever you want about whatever platforms you care about, and we're going to do that. So I'm going to need some hands raised up. We've got microphones in the center there. So I'm going to need whoever I pick out to go to these microphones. So hands raised up so I can pick people in order.
No, let them go.
What's up?
Just let them go.
Okay, you guys decide. You guys go up. So first come, first serve. Hello.
Hi. Doesn't YouTube own the right of the videos that you post?
Okay, so that's an interesting story. YouTube does not actually own the rights to your content. A lot of people are afraid to post on the internet because they might be unaware of the Digital Millennial Copyright Act. Now, I'm not a lawyer here. You can reach out to my friend Mitch Jackson on Twitter if you want advice on that. But like what I will say is that you own the rights to anything that you make public, and you can look that up. And YouTube doesn't own the rights. They only own exclusivity. You can post the same video on Facebook. You can post it on your own website. You can post it in Vimeo. You can post it anywhere. They don't own the rights. What you can do is you can give them the ability to monetize it, and if you wanted, you can even make those rights Creative Commons so that anyone else can use it. You own the rights, and if someone's actually pirating your video and putting it on their channel, you can actually issue a takedown notice through YouTube copyright ID. So, that's a misconception people have. You own the rights to all your creative work, regardless of where you publish it, but always read the terms of services of the platforms that you use because they might have rights for distribution or repurposing, but you own the overall copyright and you can take it down, delete it, do what you want.
I actually don't have a question at all, but I want to make it happen out of what you've been talking about, and I wanted to say thank you, and you're awesome.
Wow, thank you so much.
I'll second that. I do have a question. So the title of your talk is Cutting Through the Noise, and so I wonder if you have any opinions about frequency when it comes to social media. I mean, you laid out a bunch of channels, and you even alluded to the fact that you're sitting in front of your computer a lot, generating content. Do you think that there's too much or too little in terms of producing content about yourself? Does it become noise?
Great question, very important question. So also context here. When I say that I spend a lot of time on the computer, it's not creating content the majority of the time. It's actually usually the running of my business more than anything. I actually spend less time on it than people think, but it's because I create a process, and I alluded to that process of I make a larger form piece of content, and then I cut that up into smaller pieces of sausage, and then distribute, and then I also growth hack that, and I automate. So that's part of my process, but I also have years of experience in doing video editing, so it's faster for me to do stuff like that. For you guys, for frequency, I said that the real thing is to make it practical for you, for your situation. Meaning that what I would suggest to you is you figure out what platform makes sense for you to play and plays to your strengths. Figure out what the frequency of that particular platform, what the real sweet spot is there, because some of them, it might be daily, some of them it might be weekly, some of them it might be multiple posts a day. Primary example, Facebook, if you have a Facebook brand page, I would say that posting there 3-4 times a day is actually a really good idea. Making that practical might be curating content for the week. Like on an hour on a Saturday morning, you pick out the pieces of content about your industry that matter, and you kind of DJ it, and then you automate that by scheduling post, and then all of a sudden that hour covered you for your week, which means that now a month of activity on your Facebook brand page, that is you curating content, is now covered in 4 hours for the entire month. And then for the unique content that's you, talking about what you do and the value you provide after establishing some authority by sourcing information, you put out your thing that gets you what you want. You have the ratio there, and maybe you put an hour into that for the month, and then all of a sudden your entire marketing for Facebook for your brand page was reduced to 5 hours out of a 160-hour month. So that's why it's practical. And so I say for whatever platform, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, so on and so forth, you figure out what the frequency you need for that platform is. Like I said, Facebook multiple times a day, Twitter multiple times a day. You use tools like bufferapps.com, and that can help you with scheduling. You can use Post Planner, you can use Hootsuite. Most of these things are available as apps for your mobile phone. So that means, like, you know, what I do is when I'm in line at the bank, I'm scheduling stuff, or I'm scheduling stuff so that I know an hour later I'm going to be free, so that for 5 minutes I can respond to people live in real time. I use automation to be more human, not less human. I use it to schedule in a practical way so that I'm available, or so that while I'm doing a speaking engagement like this, there are people who are being helped by YouTube videos that are still being distributed through Twitter or Facebook or what have you. So frequency is about mapping it to practicality, both for you in your life and your platform. If you are picking up your kids at 3:30 and you know you need an hour to settle them down, scheduling something to go out at 4:30 becomes very practical for you, because then you have 10, 15 minutes of, you know, downtime to engage with people back to that scheduled post. So that's what I would say about that. Does that answer your question?
Very good, thank you.
It also answered my question too. I was just going to ask about how you get that quantity and that quality and consistency in your work without sacrificing like every waking moment of your life. So, I mean, you just really answered that really well. So great talk.
Yeah. One pivot on that before I get to the next question is also, when you reach a certain level of quality, you can then level, like everyone says, like, show of hands, how many people have heard and or believe quality over quantity? Softball question. Okay, here's my curveball to that. How many of you believe why not both? Aha. You know why? Quality, scale to a level of quality, work up to a level of quantity first. Then once you have a quality execution, a quality product, now quantity. Mass distribute your highest quality thing, process or even productize your quality thing, and now scale that with distribution and with frequency, and now you have a multiplier effect of, I figured out how to do this thing really well. Now I figured out how to do this thing at the maximum level, really affordably, very fast, very cheaply. Now instead of doing it once, I get more value if I do it 100, 1,000 times, i.e., when you guys are really good at design, and one of the things that like Elise hinted at and I've hinted at too is, you know, you can go and you can do a product with your design skill, and then while you're doing active work for your highest amount of money, this product is selling in an unlimited virtual distribution marketplace, i.e. a template store or whatever, and making money on the back end, which means that now you have leverage to charge more for your time because you don't need as many active clients, and so you can now get higher level clients. It's the same with content. You do your highest level of, oh, I figured out how to make videos really well at this point, or make articles that like work okay. Now, can I get to a point of mass production? And can I scale that? And what value do I get by doing that? Oh, more reach, more engagement, more of the people that I want to reach, more clients. Aha. So quality first, and then don't leave quantity on the table. Once you have something very valuable, get it in front of as many people as possible.
Facebook business pages.
Sure.
How do you feel about posting recent work, or just finished this project, or a little story about the client who just hired you for project X and how it turned out? Is that a useful way to use a Facebook business page, or is that appropriate somewhere else, if at all?
Yes to both, and what I will say about it is, if you have the permission of the client and you have that relationship, and you approach them in the right way and let them know that you kind of want to do a case study or a profile on them, you're offering them free exposure. You're not doing anything that might be out of NDA, assuming that there might be an NDA in place, so that's why you have the conversation. You make sure nothing proprietary to them is at stake, and that you're talking more than anything about the relationship and the process and how you delivered on the promise for them. And so you utilize that, and that's good for someone who's going to be that next potential client to have, but it's also good for the current client because now it's exposure for their business and the investment they're making in quality. Because everyone loves to know that who they're hiring, who they're paying, is investing in the quality of their business and their service. And so by hiring a really good designer or photographer or artist or animator or whoever, then they're making that investment, and it's a good story for them. So it's win-win for everybody. And yes to Facebook. Pinterest could be good for that if you can turn it into an infographic with your skills. YouTube and Facebook video, if you can turn it into a video conversation, and if you have B-roll of like something from a client meeting with no dialogue or whatever, like there are a lot of storytelling opportunities there. Use the platforms for storytelling to show that you have great client relationships, and that will get you better client relationships.
I have a question in regards to brands on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So my marketing team takes our social media platforms very literally in regards to posting advertisements. They seem like across Facebook and Instagram, it's more of a copy and paste application, and there's not much differentiation between the two platforms, which makes our branding feel very inauthentic, stale, watered down. So what are your take on how we should be treating both of these platforms in different ways?
The context of the platform matters, and the difference in the audiences and what their intent matters. So I would say even if you want to repurpose content, there's a way to do it with better storytelling in a lot of cases. If you have an image that you're posting to both Facebook and to Instagram, the messaging in the content and the text under it and the hashtags under it make a difference. In Instagram, things can be searched based on interest and intent with hashtags, less so in Facebook. So in Facebook, doing a 2-paragraph storytelling of what this image is about and what it represents for the business and what the value is, that's really smart. You can do that differently in Instagram with a shorter post, but also use the hashtags based on interest to target market. So then it's much more effective and purposeful, and then it doesn't fall flat, because if you're just posting an image is worth 1,000 words, cool. But those 1,000 words are optional and therefore interpretation. Design is about communication and about context and about specificity. So utilize that as the unique value proposition of the platform, play to its strengths, and now this thing has a different spin or a different take, or it's for a different specific person. Facebook is more, discovery and at a glance and if it catches my eye, but then you need to lead people in if you want to drive the call to action. And so you might need more context with story under that, something to read, much like a blog post or an article. And Instagram is different from, visual attention grab my eye, but based on what I'm interested in. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Hi.
Great question, by the way.
What is your take on using Snapchat to promote your business or whatever it is that you do?
If it's practical for you, meaning that if you are marketing specifically to a youth demographic and if you want to use it for branding to get attention and to sow the seeds of loyalty and reap that later on, yes. Snapchat is very hard to convert and close, so if it's a matter of cash flow, and as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, cash is oxygen, if it's a matter of cash, I'm less interested in Snapchat at that point. I'm much more interested in Facebook, LinkedIn, so on, Twitter. And thus, if it's practical for you to grow the youth market, millennials, reach those people and get them excited about your brand and then close them somewhere else, yes.
Thank you.
Last question. And then I'll talk to you guys out in the hall.
Thank you for the information, really good. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you got started and how long you were applying this 3C formula before people actually started engaging with you and you started growing followers a lot.
In reality, if I look back, I've been utilizing it forever, but I never was able to articulate it and never able to quantify and understand it. But I think all of you, on some level, are using the 3 and 4 C's method every day, whether you realize it or not. I see that literally. I can see some of it in the way that you guys present yourselves, the way that you address the conversations I've had with you. For me, and how I got started was, I've been a creative one way or the other my whole life. I've made a point after the soul-crushing, watching people live for their weekend thing, and I want to do it for a living. And I started doing video and posting stuff online for fun 6 years before YouTube ever existed. When YouTube came out, I still wasn't posting anything there. I didn't really think about it. And I wasn't part of that YouTube renaissance, or I'd be much larger there now. But the thing is, before I went to YouTube, I was blogging. And I was blogging about sharing my journey as a designer and just what was interesting to me. And I started having conversations with other designers and artists and creatives about their thing. I think back in 2000 and I want to say probably 2007, 2008, I did an interview with a young man that now is probably much more known than me, and he was one of the first people to actually do a finger painting with the iPad. He actually went on to do like a viral finger painting with the iPad of Morgan Freeman. And so, it's one of those things where it starts with one thing, i.e. the context of blogging, which taught me how, online content really can reach people, how it can build community. It became more practical for me to do video and use my personality and those skills, and it was fun, and I could throw the most of my creativity at the platform YouTube, so that's where focus came. But before I was ever bigger in working on YouTube, I was focused on Twitter because I like the micro conversations, I like the snappy rapport, I like talking to human beings. And so the time, I would say, make it practical, use your time effectively, but don't worry about how long it takes to get where you're going, as long as you get there. Like, legacy is lifetime, period, and hopefully after you're gone. And so if you really want to build something, you want to create something awesome, if it takes 1 year, if it takes 10, or if it takes 100, and yeah, I'm going to be around, so 100, let's do that. Like, then cool. Whatever it takes to get to the finish line. I was a cross-country and track runner, so I'm only ever trying to beat my last execution, my last race, my last time, but I still have to finish. So I have to just get there. And so what I would say, my takeaway from your question is, to grow 100,000 subscribers on YouTube took me from July of 2013 doing weekly content versus posting sporadically. It took me from July of 2013, not doing daily, doing weekly. And at some point, I think 8 months in, I pivoted and started doing more than that, but not daily. And from July, so less than 3 years later, 100,000 subscribers as of April. So 2.5, 2.6 years, but that's me. And I know that I left leverage to grow YouTube on the table to do what my bigger overall goal was. Bring a lot of us together, help a lot of people create awesome things and share them with the world, because I can't hop in a DeLorean, go back, give myself all this knowledge, because then, I'm not, if I could, maybe I'd be quiet, I don't know. But I can't do that, no DeLorean for me, not a Time Lord, so if I can't fix me, I can help so many other people have more opportunities, have more access, have it a little better, and so that's where it came from. That's how I got started, that's how long it took, and I would tell you that as long as it takes for you to create your seminal masterpiece, as long as it takes for you to create the best relationships in life, it's worth it. If I was going to leave you with anything, it would be that. Create awesome things, share them with the world, create value, create something you're proud to put your name on, and ideally, create something that makes other people feel good and outlives you.